Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for this wonderful collaboration. My name is Charmaine Mitchell and I'm with Alchemy Attitude Artistry. My technique today is watercolor. I'm going to be working on an 11 by 14 canvas. The theme for today is flowers. The colors being used by all of the artists on this collaboration today are red and peach. So I'm sure you're going to see some really interesting techniques today and some beautiful art. I'm going to clear my canvas and let's get started. My apologies everyone for the bad camera angle. You can't really see what my brush is doing. It's unfortunately the only place that I had to put my camera. So I'm creating the center of my bloom. I start with a kind of a wiggly center, and then I create the petals in concentric circles outward, kind of laying down my very narrow brush and wiggling it out with watercolor because it dries much lighter than you originally put down, the color that originally goes down. The trick with watercolor is to create many layers to create the depth and the detail in the final product. Now that I have the outline, basic outline of my rose down, I'm taking clean water on my brush and dragging out some of the color on the outer petals of the flower to give it a softer look around the edges. Now that the red rose is down, I'll have to let that dry. I'll move on to the peach rose, and with watercolor, it is all about layering. You put down the first coat. Watercolor traditionally dries much lighter than you originally think, so it's layer upon layer upon layer to give it some depth. peach rose down and back to the red rose to add more depth. I think the bottom corner needs a little tiny rosebud. That's what I'm laying down now. With watercolor, now that I've got my rosebud down, I'll let my rosebud dry. I don't want to add anything to it just yet. And what you see me doing now is moving on to the corner to do the background. I've taken a wet, clean brush and I put some water down on my canvas, and now I'm going to drop some of my color with another brush into that water, and it will actually bleed out and it gives a kind of cool effect. And through the magic of editing, the background is down. You didn't have to labor with me while I put all of the background in. And now the fun part, all of the details. That was all just the base, and now we're going to go in and add some details to the roses to make them pop. Somehow I have never been able to resist touching a canvas to see if it's wet. I haven't learned any lessons yet at all. However, fortunately for me, watercolor dries a heck of a lot faster than pouring does, and you're just seeing me erase some of my outline sketch pencil lines so that they don't show up in my final painting. And now on to working on the rosebud. Now I'm going to go in and add some shadow to areas, and I'm using an inktense watercolor pencil, and you can outline around the colors and then use a paintbrush and clean water and create some shadow, but once it's down, it's permanent, so you have to be really careful about how much you use because it has a very intense color. Now I'm going to use a Uniball Signal pen, which is permanent, can't be degraded by water, luckily, and outline some of the painting just to give it a little bit more pop and give it some definition. Thank you once again for joining us for the Mayflowers collaboration. My final product actually did have more rosebuds and more leaves. However, for your sake, I didn't put you through all of that. Next up in our roster is Tracy Reed. Please join her on her YouTube channel.